The best shortened seasons of recent MLB history. Let's talk about it. Okay, first, what's a shortened season? Well, that's subjective, but in this project, we're looking at guys who are on the road to posting a monster year, but for one reason or another, didn't have the chance to have anything near a full 162 game campaign. And we could argue over the criteria, but to save the headache, I've set a firm line at 99 games played. I did this because it means the player missed around 40% of the season, and I think that gives you enough to dream on. Second, I'm excluding the 2020 season as it was shortened for everyone. There was no other option. But with that out the way, let's start in 2010. 2010, Justin Morneau. In the most respectful way possible, Justin Morneau is one of the weakest MVPs of this century. Again, that doesn't mean he wasn't excellent in 2006. He batted .321 and he had 34 homers. But this performance probably doesn't take home this honor in any other year that starts with a 2. However, in 2010, he had the chance to change this narrative because in his first 81 games, he had .345 with a .437 on base percentage and had an OPS of 1,055. 87% better than the average hitter, and he had 18 homers, seeing him have a 4.7 B WAR and a 4.9 F WAR, both career highs. And look, if you aren't a WAR guy, I get it. I'm going to use tons of other more traditional stats in this video. But a former MVP posting a career high in WAR in half of the season's games is just nuts. However, on July 7th in a game contested in his home country of Canada, Morneau would unfortunately catch a knee to the head when sliding into second. And this gave him a bad concussion that actually saw him miss the rest of the season. Quick sidebar, so I don't have to say it over and over, I'm going to put each player in this video's stats on a 650 plate appearance pace. Obviously anything can happen, baseball's a game of slumps and hot streaks, but it's just a simple experiment to show you what a full season could have looked like. And for Morneau, he was on pace for a 33 homer, borderline 9-win season. And this injury was very impactful, as he really struggled to be himself again. Even saying after a career-worst 2011 season that he would retire if the concussion symptoms returned again. But luckily for him, he would play 4 more years in the bigs and even win his first and only batting title for the Rockies in 2014. Regardless though, while Morneau's career is undeniably a memorable one, the what if that is his 2010 season still rings at large. 2012, Andrelton Simmons. Andrelton Simmons is the best defensive shortstop of this century, and in his first taste of big league ball, he made that potential abundantly clear. Because yes, his offensive production, especially for his standards, were excellent in the stretch, batting .289 with a .751 OPS. But of course, it was the other side of the ball that really stood out, as Simmons posted an absurd 19 defensive runs saved in just 49 games, which not only led National League shortstops in 2012, but it was also the best mark ever for a player who played in less than 50 games by 5. A hot start, because in terms of defensive runs saved, Simmons' career mark of 201 is the best ever among anyone, and it's also the best among shortstops by over 80. 2013, Hanley Ramirez. Hanley Ramirez was an incredible talent. From ages 21 to 25, the shortstop hit .316 with 45 doubles, 27 homers, and 43 steals per 162 games. However, after steps back in 2010 and 2011, bitterness with the front office over them getting Jose Reyes to move him to third, along with his on-field play not getting better, saw Hanley get shipped to LA. With that deal at the Dodgers, including a pitcher you may have heard of named Nathan Eovaldi. And while the second half of 2012 was fine, his 2013 was just nuts. Because although he would tear his thumb in the WBC final to miss the first month before almost immediately pulling his hammy to miss another month, Ramirez getting healthy for June was the spark this team needed. As despite being 9 games under 500 in June, the Dodgers got so hot with Hanley in the lineup that they at one point won 42 of 50 games, 1 win shy of a franchise record in a span of that length. Not only helping them make the playoffs for the first time in the decade, but helping them start a 12-season postseason streak that is still alive to this day, and very unlikely to end anytime soon. And Hanley, despite missing some more time with a shoulder injury he suffered flipping into the dugout at Wrigley, batted .345, OPS 1040, hit 20 homers, drove in 57, and posted WARs around 5 in just 86 games, putting him on a 650 plate appearance pace of 39 homers, 110 RBI, 203 hits, and a WAR near 10. And this success continued in the postseason. batting .500 in the NLDS to help dispatch Atlanta in 4. However, with him fracturing his rib in the first game of the NLCS against St. Louis, he wouldn't be able to recapture that fire and his team was eliminated. And this was also the last real showing of prime Hanley. As for the rest of his career, he graded out as a barely above average hitter and he became even more unusable defensively. 2014, Troy Tulowitzki. For the first 8 years of his career, Troy Tulowitzki was an absolute star, having 30 homer power, 300 batting average skill, and the ability to be an absolute wizard at shortstop. But things felt different in 2014. As a 29-year-old shortstop came out the gates and batted .364 in April with an OPS over 1200, swatting 7 homers and driving in 22 in the process. And with him keeping up the hot hitting, Tulo had a .340 average, 21 homers, an OPS of 1035, and a WAR over 5 in his first 91 games. A 650 plate appearance pace of 36 homers, 90 RBI, and a WAR over 9. Which would have easily been the best of his career. However, of course, with him blowing out his hip running out a grounder in Pittsburgh in mid-July, he would undergo season-ending surgery. And sadly, similar to the previous two, this was his real last grasp at greatness. Because despite solid 2015 and 2016s that saw him get dealt to Toronto, Tulo was never quite Tulo again, especially with the bat, and he was retired by age 34. 2017, Matt Olson. Matt Olson, who was a rookie at the time, was optioned to the minor leagues 6 different times in 2017. Which, kinda made sense, as in his first 18 big league games from opening day to late July, he only hit .196 with an OPS in the 700s, while the A's primary first baseman, Yonder Alonso, was enjoying a career year. But with Oakland trading away Alonso, it gave Olson a pathway to consistent playing time. And he took advantage, as from August 11th to September 20th, he homered 20 times in 124 at-bats, giving him a final line of .259, .352, .651 with an OPS of 1003 with 24 homers in 59 games, a 650 plate appearance pace of 72 homers. And funny enough, he had more long balls this year than singles. Okay, 2019 has a few, but let's start with Fernando Tatis Jr. In 2016, the Padres sent James Shields to the White Sox and got Fernando Tatis Jr. in return. And 3 years later, the now top prospect Tatis made the opening day roster for San Diego. And in his first month in the bigs, he batted .300 with 6 homers and 6 steals. But a hamstring issue saw him miss the next month. However, this didn't stop him from batting .383 with an OPS over 1100 in his first month back, helping him have a .317 average, a .954 OPS, 22 homers, and 16 steals in his first 84 games. However, a back issue in August ended his season and prevented him from truly having a ridiculous rookie year, as he was on a 650 plate appearance pace for 39 homers and 28 steals. 2019, Yordan Alvarez. Believe it or not, Yordan Alvarez was a somewhat unheralded prospect at first. In fact, when the Astros traded Josh Fields to the Dodgers for him in 2016, Dodgers GM at the time, Farhan Zaidi, thought they wanted to trade for a guy named Yadier Alvarez. So parting ways with Yordan was easy at the time. But this trade was insanely lopsided for multiple reasons, because not only did Josh Fields pitch terribly in the World Series for the Dodgers against the Astros in 2017, but in 2019, Yordan Alvarez had one of the most dominant rookie seasons of MLB history, hitting .333 with 7 homers in his first 12 games and riding that to 27 bombs and 26 doubles in just 87 games with an OPS of 1067, the best OPS a MLB rookie with at least 300 plate appearances has ever posted, giving him a 650 plate appearance pace of 47 homers, 46 doubles, and 137 RBI. And of course, this was a launching pad to a very successful career to this point. Before we move on, I want to give Mitch Garver a shout. He was a catcher, so I really don't think he was going to play a ton of games regardless, especially with Nelson Cruz in the DH spot, but him slapping 31 homers in just 93 games in 2019 is kind of crazy, especially considering it's the second most in MLB history in a sub-100 game season. Pretty good. 2021, Ronald Acuña Jr. This season has layers. After having 41 homers and 37 steals in his sophomore season, Acuña's 2020, like everyone else, was shortened due to the pandemic. So we had to wait till 2021 to watch him build upon that 2019. And well, he sure did. In April, Acuña batted .341 with an OPS of 1148, and he slapped 8 homers on top of it, allowing him in his first 3 months to have a .280 average, a .967 OPS, 22 homers, and 16 steals. And although his Braves were kind of struggling, he was in MVP conversations. However, after a solid start to July, the 9th of the month saw things drastically change for Acuña in Atlanta, as the Braves right fielder would tear his ACL trying to make a play on this jazz fly ball to right, which not only of course ended his season, but it also caused the Braves, who are a .500 team, to do a flurry of moves, acquiring Jock Peterson, Eddie Rosario, Jorge Soler, and Adam Duvall to try and recreate Acuña's production, which worked. Because the Braves not only made the playoffs, but they won their first World Series since the 90s, a run that probably wouldn't have been possible without Eddie Rosario's NLCS MVP winning performance and Jorge Soler's World Series MVP winning performance. And that injury to Acuña has led to an unfortunate trend. As while he did bounce back to win that MVP in historic fashion in 2023, 2022 saw a hobbled Acuña somewhat struggle, and 2024 saw a slumping Acuña, who was already dealing with soreness in that repaired knee, tear his other ACL. So hopefully, Acuña can slowly return to form. But if you are curious, his 2021 season had a 650 plate appearance pace of 43 homers and 31 steals. 2021, Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton might be the king of these. After an impressive but shortened 2020 season, Byron Buxton came out the gates swinging in 2021, batting .427 with 8 tanks and an OPS of .1363 in April. However, hamstring, hip, and hand issues had him only play 14 games from May to the end of August. But once healthy again in September, he went off again, OPSing .966 with 9 more homers, meaning in 2021 overall, Buxton in 61 games with help from his electric glove had a WAR over 4 and 19 homers, giving him a per 650 plate appearance pace of 49 bombs and a double-digit WAR. And funny enough, he followed it up with another great shortened season, hitting 28 homers with an OPS of .833 over 92 games in 2022. Meaning from 2021 to 2022, he had 47 bombs and an OPS of .903 in 153 games. Unfortunately for Buxton, these injuries have still persisted till this day. However, when he is healthy, he's still one of the most dynamic players in baseball. 2021, Jacob deGrom. Do I really need to elaborate? Okay, I'll do it anyway. Jacob deGrom, who won Cy Youngs in each of his last 2 full seasons, dared to pitch one of the greatest seasons ever. And he got close. On June 21st, he had more RBI as a hitter on the season than earned runs allowed as a pitcher. His K per 9 on the season overall was 14.3. The most runs he allowed in a start through July was 3. And on April 23rd against the Nats, he had one of the greatest starts of recent memory when he K'd 15 in a complete game shutout. But on July 7th, deGrom, who finished his outing with more starts on the year than earned runs allowed on the year, saw his forearm tightness get worse, and this resulted in it being his last appearance of the year, truly robbing us of a historical season. Because through 92 innings and 15 starts, deGrom had a 1.08 ERA, which was good for a 3.73 ERA+, a mark that is by far the best an MLB pitcher has ever had in a season where they made 15 or even 10 starts. This was the first time we really saw prime deGrom break down, as he's missed major time in each of the next 3 seasons, although when he has been on the mound, he's been nothing short of excellent. 2022, Matt Carpenter. This one is wild. Matt Carpenter was great for the Cardinals for the first 8 years of his career, batting .274 with 40 doubles and 20-ish homers a season for teams that consistently made the postseason. But from ages 34 to 35, he simply lost his touch with the bat. And actually, that's kind of putting it lightly. Statistically, he sucked. He batted .176 and he was 30% worse than the average hitter. So when he hit free agency that offseason, he was obviously not sought after hard, meaning Carpenter, who was feeling lost, reached out to a former rival for advice. Quick sidebar, Joey Votto is one of the best all-around hitters of his generation, and he is a future Hall of Famer. Argue with a wall. But after winning 7 on-base titles from 2010 to 2018, his production started to fall off at the end of the decade, prompting him to get into the lab and increase his exit velo and bat speed, allowing him to have an absurd age 37 season in 2021 when he hit 36 bombs in just 129 games. So Carp, trying to replicate that success, called up Votto, who was in Paris at the time, and they had a phone call which Carpenter found super motivating, linking up with Marucci and going through a complete overhaul of his swing mechanics. Now, here's the thing. While his 2021 numbers were terrible, when looking at his profile, it was clear he wasn't washed from a physical standpoint, as he was consistently hitting the ball hard and at good angles. He just really needed to clean things up a bit, and that he did. Because while he looked rough for the Rangers in spring training, after he got released and picked up by the Yankees, the work paid off, pulling fly balls for fun to slap 15 homers in the span of 104 at-bats, including 3 multi-homer games and a bomb off of Shohei Ohtani. Because why not? However, the Cinderella run came to an end when he fouled this Logan Gilbert pitch off his foot, which led to a season-ending fracture, finishing his regular season with a .305 average, an 1138 OPS, and 15 bombs in just 47 games, putting him on a 650 plate appearance pace of 63 homers. Aaron Judge who? 2023, Evan Carter. This might be the best September call-up ever. Maybe. Entering 2023, Evan Carter was seen as a top 30-ish prospect in baseball, and after posting impressive numbers in the minors, Carter got the call for the final stretch of the regular season shortly after his 21st birthday, where he hit .300 with an OPS over 1,000 in 75 plate appearances. But the most impressive thing was the plate appearance quality overall, averaging over 4.5 pitches per time up to the plate, resulting in 20 times where he worked a full count, a feat that earned him the nickname Full Count Carter. But it wasn't the regular season that earned him a spot here, as over the Rangers' 17 playoff games, Carter not only reached base at least once in every contest, but he hit .300 with an on-base percentage over .400 and had a playoff record-setting 9 doubles, working his way up from the 9th spot in the wildcard round to be batting 3rd in the World Series, where he added 6 more hits on the road to the Rangers' first ever ring. Meaning in 2023, combining regular and postseason, Carter played in 40 games, batted .301 with a .412 on base percentage, and had a .981 OPS, being a World Series champion hitter in the heart of the lineup before his rookie eligibility even ran out. And while his 2024 was full of injuries and underwhelming offensive play when on the field, he's definitely a player to be excited about in 2025. 2024, Kyle Tucker. From 2020 to 2023, Kyle Tucker was a somewhat secret star for an elite Astros team, having consistent 30-20 seasons with an OPS in the high 800s, culminating in a 29-homer, 30 stolen base, 112 RBI season in 2023 that saw him finish 5th in MVP voting. So, any sort of step forward in 2024 would have seen him truly reach superstar heights. And that seemed to be the case, as in his first 60 games of 2024, he swatted 19 homers, drove in 40, and had 10 steals to 0 caught stealing, including a strange game against the Brewers in June, where he struck out 3 times to open the game in green cleats, before switching to orange cleats and hitting homers in back-to-back at-bats. But on June 3rd, something even more strange would happen, because Tuck fouling a ball off his shin didn't seem like a big deal at first. I mean, this happens all the time. However, this one actually fractured his shin and kept him off the field for 3 months. But when he returned, he immediately locked back in, hitting .365 with a .1041 OPS in September to help the Astros make the playoffs, where Tuck unfortunately went 0 for 7 in a wildcard loss. Although this doesn't change the fact that on the year, Tucker hit .293 with an OPS a shade under 1,000, while hitting 23 homers, swiping 11 bags, and having a WAR around 4.5. In fact, according to Baseball Reference, this was the best WAR a player's ever posted in a season where they had less than 300 ABs, putting him on a 650 plate appearance pace for 44 homers and a WAR around 9, meaning if he played the full year, he would have likely done something similar to Juan Soto, a guy who, as you know, just got paid the GDP of a small country to play baseball in Queens after a tremendous 1-year stint in the Bronx, something Tucker has a shot to replicate. Because this offseason, Tucker was shipped to the Chicago Cubs ahead of his contract year. And considering his track record and the steps forward he made in 2024, if Tucker can do something like this again, his payday next year might be huge. Okay, so that was my dive into the best shortened seasons of recent MLB history. Let me know what you thought, and let me know if I missed any. Okay, so that was my dive into the best shortened seasons of recent MLB history. Let me know what you thought, and comment some ones I may have missed. In my research, I came across a ton I could have included, so maybe I can do a part 2 if that's interesting to you. But of course, if you enjoyed, consider liking and maybe subscribing. And if you do that, I'll see you next time.